What's up my loves, my name is Paige, this is Paige the Page, and today we're going to be doing my February wrap up. Alright, so it's March. This year is going by very quickly. I had a delightful birthday month and I just want to wrap up the things that I managed to read. The way that I'm going to structure this is doing my statistics, then doing my advent challenge and anything that I marked off there, and then talking through the individual books. I did end up reading 12 books, which surprised me because I was slumping hard. I don't know, I feel like I've been in like an absolute life slump and I feel like my reading's reflective of that, but at the same time it's also doing really well. So yeah, let's dive into the statistics. So as I said, I read 12 books, which equated to 4,539 pages. This equates to reading 162 pages per day, which absolutely shocked me. I thought I maybe read 100 if that, because I had been feeling super slumpy, I was traveling, but apparently no, still can read a fuck ton. But with that equating to roughly 378 pages per book. So on the upper end, this is what we like. My average rating was a 4.29, which is awesome. In terms of genre, I read 4 fantasy, 1 historical, 1 non-fiction, 1 paranormal, 2 romances, and 2 sci-fi. In terms of format, I read 1 ebook, 3 ebook audiobook combinations, and 8 physical audio reading. So still keeping with my favorite kind of reading form, which is physical and audio at the same time. I just feel like I read it a lot better, more things stick in my brain, and I just have a better experience. This is a very yellow shirt. In terms of age range, I read 5 adult, 2 new adult, 3 YA, and 2 middle grade. In terms of star ratings, I had 3 5 stars, 4 4.5, 3 4 stars, 1 3.5, and 1 3 star. I read 5 standalones, and I read 7 series, with only 1 being the start of a new series, which I will be finishing off this year as it is part of the book Star really long. So holy shit, I actually made progress in series. What the fuck? My biggest book was Inkspell by Cornelia Funk at 675 pages, and my smallest was The Experiment, which is book 28 of the Animal series, which comes in at 139 pages. My listening hours equated to 38.5 hours, which is significantly less than last month, but also surprisingly high considering I don't feel like I actually had that much time to listen to audiobooks. My big book that we pulled out was Flight, and I did read that. That's all my statistics. I am super proud with how that's all looking, which I'm just, I've read some bigger books, I read a non-fiction. I'm feeling like this month is reflective of how I want my reading to be. It's got a broad range of genres and types, as well as continuing on with series rather than starting them, although I feel like March is going to be similar to January in starting a lot, but that's okay. And I also just want to do my advent challenge. So I asked some friends to either give me a book and a prompt, a book or a prompt, and so I've popped them in this lovely board to complete throughout the year, and 2 books completed challenges for this one. So for trees on it, I've gone with Inkspell because on the back is a lot clearer, but those are trees. You can't really tell them on the front, but they are there. So I get to put a corgi butt on there. And then for food on the cover, I've gone with The Librarian by Sally Vickers, as there is a cup of tea. So I get to mark that one off. And there we go. So I will be doing a quarterly update on the different books that are fulfilling different challenges that I have ongoing and just where I'm up to with all of those. But I just want to do the Advent challenge as we go because I love putting the corgi butts on. So I figured I might as well do that. Alrighty, so let's dive into the books. The first book that I read was Grunt by Mary Roach, and I gave this a 4 stars. I love the way that Mary approaches different topics, and her humorous non-fiction writing makes it so easy to get through. I loved the Weir Man and like how they test on different things to see the impact that it's going to have on the body when in a war setting. I loved the commentary that they make on clothing and the investments that the military make into different components moments. There was one quote that had me absolutely rolling with laughter, and it making comment about resolving conflicts in the Middle East being easier than trying to come up with one of the fashion science to be able to fulfill all the criteria that the military are wanting for their soldiers. So it was a lot of fun. I didn't overly tab it, which is fine. Felt that I got onto a listening role rather than actually wanting to stop and highlight sections of it. So there were a few that had me laughing, but for the most part, it was just a really enjoyable look at a wide variety of topics. Mary Roach doesn't go in depth into her studies. She's giving you anecdotal sort of interesting aspects that you might not think of. So looking at why the camouflage is the way that it is, the designers that are involved, how much the military actually invest in a variety of different things and why they choose to invest in it. It was very fascinating, and I am so thankful that I managed to finish this because I was going to buy Stiff and I got gifted it for my birthday. So expect to see that on a TBR pretty soon. I was super happy to read this. I had a lot of fun with it and gave it a 4 stars. Then I read an arc which was We Were Kings by Court Stevens, and this was going to my buzzword challenge for the month. This was a new adult YA new adult thriller, and as a non-thriller reader, I loved this. I still gave it a 4 stars because there was aspects of it that I could definitely fault and see that the love interest was very insta-lovey and it just didn't really do much for me on that front. Elements of it, there was room for improvement and I could definitely see it. It wasn't one that had me absolutely, oh my god, this is perfection, which I like my 5 stars to be, or I can acknowledge it and move on. With this, it actually did impact on my reading, but not in a bad way, just enough for me to take notice. Literally, the ending though, I was like, what the fuck? And Ash was come running in, absolutely concerned about what the hell was going on. And I tried to start explaining it to him, and there is a lot that happens in this book, and the different connections between it. I felt like Charlie Day trying to explain whatever he's trying to explain. That meme, like that was me to Ash at the end of this book, because holy shit, so good. I don't know if this would have the same impact for people that do read a lot of thrillers. I don't know if you would see it the way that it plays out, or if it would be as twisty and turny. I can see a lot of people critiquing it in totally valid ways on the ending not being for them. I don't want to go into too much detail on what they say, because I feel like that might then create a preconceived notion, which I don't want you going in with. So if you can go into this blind and just go for the ride, know that there's an insta-love situation, but it's not bad, then I would highly recommend checking this out. Then I read Flight by Angie Sage, and holy shit, I had so much fun with this. I gave this a 4.5 stars. I feel like as we're going to progress throughout the series, the villain is going to become quite a caricature, and I'm not sure that that would be the best way that the villain could have been continued. I do understand that it is middle grade, however. I fully appreciate why it is the way that it is, but for me, I would want a little less from the villain being like, ha 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 ha, I am the most amazing thing ever. Like, no. So that's why I gave it a 4.5 rather than a 5 star, but holy shit, these characters are just so beautiful. The different dynamics between them are fantastic, and I just have a lot of fun. It is really reminiscent of the vibes of She Who Shall Not Be Named. This might actually be a really good series to pick up. I can't wait to see how it goes. I know that each book is chunky, but they read so quickly. There are also beautiful illustrations as the title headers, and it just sets the mood for that chapter, and I really love it. I wish that the villain wasn't the way that he was, because that definitely would make it a 5 star for me, but I feel like kids reading it as the targeted audience will find this as a 5 star read regardless. Next up, we had Chef's Kiss, and that was by, I'm gonna read straight off here, Jeff Melendez, Danica Bryan, Hank Jones, and Hassan Otsmane Atula. I apologize for that pronunciation. Also, if I didn't specify, We Were Kings by Court Stevens was an arc from NetGalley, as was Chef Kiss. So this is an LGBT graphic novel that is definitely new adult. We're following our protagonist as they navigate the difference between their degree that they have acquired versus the trap of you need to have experience to be able to get work, but this is also entry-level positions that you can't get into because you need to have experience, but you don't have experience because you were getting your degree. I feel that in my soul, and it just explores when you have a passion and you want to pursue it, but then you find that life gives you a little bit of a curveball and wanting to explore other passions, when you are pressured with financial instability or the want of stability and needing to support yourself versus wanting to just go for something that makes you really happy. It's a great exploration into different dynamics and friendships. There was one character that I just really didn't vibe with. I don't like those kind of characters, so that is a completely me thing. He was there for comedic relief and I didn't find him funny. I don't find those characters funny. So I know that that's a me thing, not a critique on the book itself. There was definitely far-flungness with essentially this fresh new adult is getting work at a restaurant and he needs to pass these trials by like a Gordon Ramsay styled chef who could be borderline toxic and abusive through a taste testing pig. Take of that what you will. I had a lot of fun and I really enjoyed it. I feel like it was very wholesome and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read The Librarian by Sally Vickers. This was the lowest rated book that I physically owned on my Goodreads TBR. I haven't updated that, so could be something a little bit different, but this is the one that we went with at the time of filming. And I gave it a 3 stars. It's not terrible, but what did I read? I loved the introduction to this, where we're following our protagonist who is become a child's librarian at a small rural town. That is my vibe. I absolutely adored it. I loved seeing her wanting to work with the teachers to be able to encourage students who were reluctant readers to embrace the library. I loved that aspect of having the different library systems set up in the historical setting, so it is the antiquated version of using cards to find things. Brilliant. I love it. That makes me feel so nostalgic. And then we hit the middle of the book and there is a lot going on with a married man and it lost all semblance of what I was enjoying about it. The back says The Librarian is a moving testament to the joy of reading and the power of books to change and inspire us all. I fully agree with that for the first quarter of this book. The rest of it just lost itself. It became a really just gross depiction of an extramarital affair, and it didn't paint the protagonist in a bad light because she was doing something that was wrong, but it lost that sense of wonderful books. It went on a completely different track. So I don't know, it was something that I read. It definitely was just okay. It wasn't bad, but I wish that the author had explored a different route and kept the love of books rather than trying to make it a literary drama, because it just was boring and bleh. Next up, guys, Electric Idol by Katie Robert. I devoured this. I fucking love Katie Robert. I know not everyone is going to love this. I know that Kara did not like this at all, but just there is something about Katie Roberts' writing that has hooked me in my very soul. Marriage of Convenience plot, so fun, and I'm not sure exactly what it was with Kara not liking it. I feel like there wasn't enough explanation of what was happening in the politics for her to care. For me, I was here for the smut. Like, I don't give a shit about the plot. I don't care if there's no plot. I don't care if I need to suspend my disbelief about why these people are helping other people or not helping these people or how that's all interconnected. I read it and I enjoy it, but I'm not here for that. I am here for the hot and heavy sex scenes. And this delivered. I don't know why, but I got sucked into these personalities. I suppose because we have the exterior of a hard, jaded man, but soft cinnamon scroll inside. So I'm gonna be a sucker for that. Plus the Marriage of Convenience trope, apparently something I adore. So 5 stars, but I know it's not gonna be everyone's cup of tea, but don't let it put you off because the next book is a poly romance and I feel like it's going to be messy and glorious. So I would recommend reading this, even if that doesn't sound like something that you would enjoy. Going into Wicked Beauty, I highly recommend Katie Roberts. She can do no wrong in my eyes, but I appreciate that she does wrong for other people. Like, this is a very me, just enjoyable thing. So much. Next up, I read The Humans by Matt Haig, and I gave this a 4.5 stars. I found the concepts and discussions super interesting. I had so much fun watching this character learn how to be human. It was very quick to read, and Jacqueline and I buddy read it so we could also discuss it. And I appreciate what is happening. I felt like the protagonist was a little bit annoying and not in a good way, so it just detracted that smidge for me because I was just like, come on, on, dude, really? But the overarching plot, the discussions and analysis, and the study of what it means to be human is something that I adore. So having Matt Haig explore that in a really fun way was beautiful, and I cry every time there's a dog, even though nothing bad happened to the dog. They're so wholesome and precious. Next up, I read Inkspell by Cornelia Funk, and this is the second in the Ink World series, and I gave this 4.5 stars. I got so sucked into this world. I find that it's so quick and easy to read, even though it is 675 pages. I was invested from day dot. The reason I gave it half a star is Maggie's character didn't feel like how she was in the first book. She's gone down a different track, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. It doesn't feel like authentic character development. It feels like she's gotten really fucking annoying. So the way that she acted in this didn't reminisce with me for the way that she was in the first book, and I feel like the choices were made to be able to progress the plot, rather than that would be something her character would do. By the end, I loved seeing all the different kinds of character development, and I really appreciate it, but that disconnect between her from book 1 and book 2 was why I gave it half a star. I still had so much fun. These characters, I think for me, I'm a character driven reader. Like, I don't give a shit about the plot. I enjoy the plot as I'm going along, but if these characters have nestled their way into my heart, I'm going to have a good time. And I feel like Mo, Dustfinger, and even Gwyn all just make me feel so at home. And again, I suppose it ties in with Maggie's character, but the way that Farid acted, as well as Fenolio, I know that Fenolio is Fenolio, and I just appreciate that that's who his character is, even if he shits me off. But Farid and Maggie just didn't vibe for me the way that I wanted to. But as I said, I still gave this a 4.5 because the world is so magical, it is so warming, it is so comforting, and you just get sucked into this, and I love it. I can't wait to finish off the series. I am not okay. I bawled my eyes out at the ending of this, so I am scared I'm going to be hurt in the third one way more intensely, and I'm not ready. I'm not ready to commit to a behemoth that is going to hurt me so badly. Then I read Men at Arms by Terry Pratchett, which is the second in the Did You Watch series. This was so funny. I realized when reading the first one that I definitely have to pay attention, and I have to be reading along with a copy of it while listening to the audiobook, because the way that Terry Pratchett writes is it's so nuanced and so funny, but in the subtlest of ways. So if I'm just listening to the audiobook, I'm going to miss it. So knowing that going in, I was fully invested. I dedicated my time. I sat and I read it and I listened to it, and I loved it, and I gave it 5 stars. Guards is a great introductory to the Discworld series, but it does take time. It takes time to introduce the characters. It doesn't take too much time to introduce the world, but there is a lot that you just have to sort of go along with to begin with. But that's fine. It all gets explained eventually. Whereas when I was trying to read Color of Magic years ago, also not being a fantasy reader, I was like, what the fuck is this? It was too much. Whereas Guards, you get introduced to the characters, which there are quite a few of. So then you're like, oh, okay, I've got to keep up with these different people. And then we're like into it. Men at Arms, I gave 5 stars because it was just so goddamn funny. Also, the characters are exploring themselves in different ways, and just everything was done brilliantly. Terry Pratchett just knows how to twist and turn tropes on their head. They're not that old, but they're not that young either. And for Terry to be subverting fantasy tropes like that so perfectly was just so much fun. And I absolutely loved it. And then for the book star read along, I read City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. I'm giving this a 4 stars. Holy fuck, Clary is a dumb fuck. She just, think before you act, girl. And that was my thought process the entire time. Like, the entire time. I was just like, stop, just think for a second. Just a second, one smidgen of time. But no, okay, here we're going again. Okay, what the fuck's gonna go wrong now? It's fun and it's quick, and I appreciate that for what it is. I am so excited to chat with this in the Bookstar group because I feel like there is going to be so much to unpack. It is fun. You don't go into it thinking it's going to be the next literary mass. I can't wait to see some character progression though, because this hurts. I love that I'm still giving it a 4 stars, even though Clary pissed me off the entire time, because the rest of it really held up for it. I enjoy the magic that is introduced. I loved seeing the different runes, and I love getting to know these characters. I have seen the movie and first 2 episodes of the TV show, so I knew the plot. Although when talking with Kara, I was surprised to find out that it was a Ginny and Draco fanfiction originally. What the fuck? So there's like a lot of little controversial things, which I'm like, okay, this is a choice. But like I said, based off what it is and who it's marketed for and how it's presented, it's a 4-star read and it's good fun. Come join us for the Bookstara read along. We are starting the All Souls trilogy in March and then continuing on with this series in April, so you do have time to play catch up if you would like to. I can't wait to discuss it because right now my brain's just like, oh Jesus Christ, she's the dumb fuck. I need someone else to bounce off so I can actually have some coherent thoughts. So I'll leave that linked below when that's happened. It is happening on the 5th of March at 12 PM AEST, so come join us. Then I didn't think I was going to get to it and I started panicking because this was a buddy read with Jessie from The Bookish Mum, and that is A Reaper at the Gates by Sabaa Tahir. And I gave this 5 stars. Oh, it matches my hair. So, oh man, this would be the perfect book to match your outfit. Damn it. Anyway, I ended up reading this in the last 2 days of the month. I kept putting it off after finishing City of Bones. I was just in a little bit of a slump, and holy shit. Oh my god. The twists, the turns, my investment in these characters is strong. I am in pain. I cried so hard at the ending of this, and I need to get my hands on Sky Beyond the Storm so I can finish off this quartet, because I cannot leave this for too long. I feel like this series is super easy to read and to continue on, even if there has been a decent amount of space between each book that you read. But I'm just here, I want to finish it. I'm so excited to just conclude it off because it is so brilliantly done. I love the character development. I'm curious to see where the last book goes because there is so much to wrap up, and it's just got me so invested in these characters and their story, and seeing the shift in Elias is just, god damn, the ending. God damn! Can't wait to see where the last book goes, and gave this 5 stars. I should have left it. I should have stopped there, but I was like, let's do one more. I have the audiobook for The Experiment by K.A. Applegate. So let's read one Animorphs because I haven't managed to read any this month, and so I did. And I gave it a 3.5. So a little bit of a sour note to end on, but that's okay. They're still really good. I enjoy them a lot, but this one was definitely a filler. It didn't need to exist. The plot just fizzled out at the end, and so when I left it, I was like, well, that was a pointless wasted half an hour that I could have been reading something else, but alas, here we are. So I love these characters. I'm fully invested in this series. I don't care if they're not great or if they are a filler book, but my ratings are going to reflect the fact that they are. I really enjoyed being back in Axe's perspective, and just seeing the way that he experiences the world is always a fun time. But yeah, like I said, the actual plot of this was just redundant. So if you're gonna skip over one, skip over this. Like, genuinely, there is no impact on this aside from the fact that they acquire a cow morph. So that is the premise of this one, is they can now turn into cows. These plus We Were Kings, Chef Kiss, Men at Arms, and The Experiment were the 12 books that I read in the month of February. Like I said, I'm feeling kind of slumpy and just not, I don't know, my vlog will be going out where I sort of talk through my brain a little bit more, but I've decided to go down to 2 videos a week for the month of March. I am not doing beta in April, but I just wanted to touch base because this is not going up on a regular upload day. I'm going to be only one of 2 videos you see this week, and I just wanted to let you know because I've made that decision for my own mental well-being. I've been doing 3 videos a week for essentially 2 years, and whilst I know a lot of creators can go for a lot longer than that, I've hit my capacity whilst working a full-time job and actually wanting to read the books so I can talk about them. So yeah, 2 videos a week from me for the month of March. If I feel kind of wiggy about it, then I might step it back up in April, but we'll see. So thank you for bearing with me in this time of I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with my life. So here we are. Let me know in the comments on what you read in the month of February. Did you have any 5-star reads? I had a 5-star month in the terms of my birthday and just having an amazing time in that regard. Let's take it that way. But yeah, let me know, is there something fun that you did that you really enjoyed, and did you have any 5-star reads in the month of February? If you like this video, feel free to give it a big thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more of this mess, feel free to subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you in my next video. Bye!